don't know me or haven't met me, I'm Grace Jones. I'm one of the social workers at Vaughn. Very happy to be here. I'm going to be looking at some notes too, Minnie, so feel free to jump in if I'm missing chats or if you want to add anything, feel free to jump in. But I wanted to start by saying I know these are very challenging times. There's a lot that we don't know. We're learning a lot as we go. So just know that I'm glad you guys are here and you're doing a great job with learning with us as we figure this all out together. So we're just going to be talking. I'm happy to answer any questions to the best of my ability about specific questions you guys have, but we're here to support you through this and kind of give you some overview from our standpoint about how to best support your family right now and yourselves. So right now, from a health standpoint and neurological standpoint, we really want to be focusing on basic needs with our families and our students. We know that there's a lot of overwhelming material coming at you right now, whether it be about school or be on the news. And right now, we really want to focus on just creating a sense of safety with our kids and our families, as well as focusing on physiological needs, which means, did we have lunch today? Do we have clean clothes on today? Making sure our kids feel safe at home and providing that nurturing piece. Really, the most important thing for us to focus on right now is one another. That looks different now that we are virtual, but connecting with one another is really very protective for our kids and for all of us as humans. So whether that be just being together at home, being in the same space, talking about how you're feeling, checking in throughout the day, that is what's most supportive to each other right now, is just being with one another and creating that safe space with one another. Another supportive piece that we are doing through school, in which you can support at home with your kids, is creating a sense of routine and structure. This is something that kids can predict. They know what's coming. They know how their morning's going to start each day. And that is something that helps kids feel safe. And it also helps them feel like they have a sense of control over something. So that may mean you wake up, you have breakfast, you go to your connection circle at 9 o'clock, you see your classmates, and sort of routine for the morning and afternoon. And within that, it's supportive as well to give kids choices. That also gives them the feeling of control. So maybe saying, would you like to start with reading or with math today, is something that can be supportive to your kids at home. There's so much going on in our environment right now that is out of our control. So being able to have some choice and some say in little aspects throughout the day can be really helpful for our kids. We want to really be focusing on this connection piece, because that also helps one another feel less stressed at home. And we know that everyone's stress levels are really elevated right now, given that we don't know exactly what's going on. News is being thrown at us. It's a very, very stressful time. So we want to make sure we're supporting one another and really connecting to make each other feel safe and supported. And with this, I know it's really overwhelming for parents, knowing that you guys are now acting as teachers as well as parents at home, which is a new role. And I just want to say, I don't want you all to feel like you have to be expert teachers. As long as you are doing the best that you can at home, that's all that we ask. And that may look different for every family. You may be focusing on being together, helping each other do chores, whatever that may look at home, and others may be tapped into more the academic piece. but try to be gentle with yourself and know that you're just doing the best that you can. And that's great. And it's really important for you all as parents to take time for yourselves as well, whether that mean taking a break from looking at the computer with the kids, reading a book, cooking, whatever is something that's calming to you. It's important for you guys to take time for yourself as well. We also want to encourage our kids to be taking these breaks as well. We don't expect kids to be online doing school 8 hours straight at home as they would in the school building. So some other activities that could encourage learning that look a little different could be cooking with you. It could be writing a letter or an email. It could be taking a coloring break, doing some sort of physical activity, doing jumping jacks, making a maze to go throughout the house, playing a game, talking to a loved one on the phone, practicing deep breathing. So there's a lot of other things that you guys can practice at home as well. That would be supportive to your students right now. That doesn't have to look like sitting down and doing math or doing reading for the entire day. Minnie, are there other things that you can think of that I'm missing so far that you want to touch on?
So one of the things that I sat in on a meeting that that a psychologist in Denver was having, and one of the things that he brought up is that each child, based on their, let's say, grade levels. So for instance, elementary kids right now are enjoying this time with everyone, with their parents. It's a really great time to build those bonds with your kids. For them, it's enjoyable, and it's not as it's not met like in a way where they feel, oh my gosh, what's happening, and that also will depend on how you're dealing with it. But for instance, also with middle schoolers might kind of like it, but they'll miss the socialization with their friends. And then you have the high schoolers who are actually in mourning, especially those who are supposed to graduate, go to prom, even, just some of the things, visit colleges. Some of those things are not happening for them. And so they're actually going through a stage of mourning where, as parents, we have to be really, really open to hard conversations with our kids, so that they can let go of that anxiousness, the doubt, and the fears that are in their lives right now. And this is an opportunity that we as parents have in order to build that trust, like Grace mentioned, with our kids, so that, let's say they're not going through that mourning stage, but here's a time where you really have to start having conversations like, how do you feel about all of this, and just kind of be that parent that will make them understand that, you guys are together, we're together as a family, we'll get through this, and just that, give them that reassurance that as parents, they can always turn to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. I think you bring a really good point too, with thinking of high schoolers and middle schoolers too, and that this is going to affect them differently from some of our elementary kiddos, and it's going to look different as well, in that we are all grieving something right now, whether that be the loss of someone we loved, or the loss of some sort of normalcy in our lives, or graduation. There's big things we're not able to partake in right now. And with middle schoolers and high schoolers too, a lot of them are having, going through puberty, or having a lot of hormonal changes going on in their lives as well, which a huge piece for middle schoolers and high schoolers is being able to connect with their peers. And developmentally, that's really where they thrive and where they grow and learn is from their peers during those ages. Not as much with the elementary kids. They still look to parents mostly at that age, but for middle and high school, they are not getting to interact with their peers like they're used to, and that is a crucial part of their life and development. So we just need to be sensitive to the fact that they're grieving that right now. And while we do have technology to support with that, it's very different not being able to have that in-person connection with our peers. So just being sensitive to your kids being upset or, maybe having an outburst over something really tiny. There's, for a lot of them, a lot bigger emotions going on underneath, and they may not have the language to quite express that. So just being mindful of that and granting them grace as well as granting yourselves grace and trying to be really empathetic with one another. It will look a little different for each of your kids, especially if they're at different ages right now. Are there any questions at this point? I'm sorry to talk at you for so long. If anyone has any thoughts or questions or some personal experience they'd like to add, I'd be happy to hear.
I had a question regarding next year if we are able to go back to school in August. Initially, will the teachers help the kids get a refresher on some things just because they're missing so much that necessarily us as parents can't go into depth with them on teaching them at home, like with different types of math specifically?
I can answer that. So essentially, if we go back in August, which right now it's probably about 50%. I don't know if you saw Governor Polis's statement. I'm waiting for our superintendent to address that, but I'm sure he's getting clarification right now. My best thinking at the moment is essentially we would have to do a diagnostic again on all of our students, have them take a reading and a math diagnostic to determine whether or not they've gained skills, remained the same, or have lost. And from there, we would determine a specific course of action, essentially for each group of students and or each individual student, just like we've done this year. Teachers would continue to meet with students in small groups. If we have students that are significantly below, we do have 2 reading interventionists that step in. And we also have our CLDE, which is our ELL teacher leader per se, that steps in as well. So we're thinking about a plan for that. And then Aurora Public Schools is also coming up with essentially this recovery plan. And that is going to include all things encompassing around technology, instruction, mental health, things like that. So we can kind of start the year running with kind of where we left off. At this time, there's no talk of keeping kids in their previous grades or anything like that. So I don't want parents to worry about that. They will go to the next grade level, but it's our job to make sure that we are supporting the individual needs of every single kid and making sure that they get exactly what they need to get either caught up or to progress just like they were doing before.
That's good to know. My child specifically, that's what he's worried about too. He doesn't want to be because he's going to the 5th grade and he doesn't want to feel behind.
Right. Yeah. No, we don't want anybody to feel behind. We want each kid to feel successful for sure. But I'm sure there will be a little bit of frustration along the way. But we're going to have to take it slow. So in my personal opinion, I'm assuming we would probably go back to some previous standards from the previous grade around that 4th quarter and spend the first 3 to 4 weeks of school essentially kind of doing some reteach opportunities from the previous grade level before in reading, writing, and math, just to kind of give kids a little bit of a boost.
Okay, that's good to know.
Awesome. Feel free to jump in with any other questions as well. I do want to share Minnie, I think, put on the website a child-friendly book about how to talk to your kids about the coronavirus. Is that on the website, Minnie, the Oyster? I think you're on mute. Hold on.
Okay, so yes, I can actually show it really quick.
Oh, awesome.
Let's see. First, to open that up. Okay. So now, okay, so if you go to our Vaughn website, I'm updating it, if not every other day, then I'm updating it on a weekly basis with different resources that parents can benefit from. And so I encourage you to visit it at least on a weekly basis, because it not only has our spirit days that we're celebrating throughout all this time that we're going to be on virtual learning, but we also have an opportunity for our families to get free food delivery. Excuse me. And it's available to our Vaughn families. No other school has this opportunity. I have been lucky enough to build a relationship, with Cigna and a company who are sponsoring this. And so if you were to, excuse me, if you were to go to our Vaughn website, you can just click on the link and fill out the application as soon as it comes up. Excuse me. And just click here, and it will take you to the link where you just fill in your information and answer a few questions if you choose to, and then hit submit here. And so once you do that, you will be able to get food delivered to your home, and you can do it one time a month for 3 months. So if you do it in April, you do April, May, and June. Or if you start in May, you can do May, June, and July. Excuse me. And so we encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity, because, kids will take on the stress that families feel when there isn't enough food, let's say. They won't want to eat that extra, like snack that's left over because there's not enough for everybody. Worries come in different forms for kids. So if you were to be able to participate in this, it could be one way that you can avoid at least one stressor, and help your family out. So the other thing was that book that Grace mentioned. We have downloaded a very good book that explains in a great way to kids why we're quarantining and how this doesn't have to be a bad thing, that we can actually learn from it, we can grow from it, we can build on our family relationships, and so I encourage you to read it to your kids, to have your kids read it. It's a really great way that kind of explains this whole mess that we're in, and how it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Okay. I also have in place a parent support page that I encourage you to visit. There are some different parenting meetings that are going to be happening where you can join in virtually. And it's basically a support group for families. And we encourage you to let go of a little bit of everything that's building up. One of the things that the psychologist mentioned was how our stress reservoir is like a dam. So when we're under stress, it's important to let go a little bit in various ways so that the dam doesn't break all of a sudden. And so that's why it's important for us to reach out and be able to vent. If we can't vent to our kids or to our family or to our friends, then you got to find ways that you can vent in other ways to other people. Okay, we want to make sure that we are getting the supports we need. I've joined a few groups that I've heard about and I put on here just to get an idea of what it is that's happening, for our families. My boys are older; they're in their 20s, so my job as a parent looks totally different from parents who have kids who are in elementary school. But I still want to make sure that you guys are getting all the resources available at, in our Vaughn website. But I encourage you to get in there, to look at the links, to explore some of the resources that are available, because you can apply for financial assistance, let's say for your Excel, bill or water bill. I've put that in there. It's in the front page, but I will be putting that on the parent supports as well. And basically what you have to do is you just have to do the footwork of seeing if you qualify. And so, like I said, just explore our website as much as you can, and, let other people know about it, because obviously this is a Colorado support. It's not, a Vaughn only support. Now the food is only Vaughn. It is for Vaughn families, but like I told other groups, is that I'm not the food police. I'm not monitoring who's getting it. And if you know of a family who is in need of that kind of support, then I encourage you to share it with them. But we do want to make sure that our Vaughn families are taken care of, first and foremost. But like I said, when people need something, then, it's up to us to be able to share the wealth. So that's about it.
I do just want to add to that, for some of you who have multiple kids in the home or multiple providers working with some of your kids, please let us know if you're getting too many calls or too much outreach. We, of course, want to support you and want to check in and hear how you're doing, but we also don't want to overwhelm you and overload you with too much information or too many calls. So please do let myself or your teacher, your kid's teacher, whoever, know if there's too much coming in from us. We don't want to be an added stressor for you all. Are there any further questions or thoughts at this point? Or Minnie, anything else you want me to touch on that I've missed or forgotten about?
I do want to touch on communicating with the teacher based on your child's needs. One of the things that we pride ourselves in is that our staff and our teachers are very dedicated to making sure they have open communication with the family. And one of the things that, for instance, at a 5th grade meeting, one of the parents had asked the teacher if it would be possible for her to just check in with her child on a weekly basis and to have a 15-minute chat or whatever. And the teacher complied and said, absolutely. They meet on a weekly basis just to kind of make sure that the child is staying motivated and is understanding that the teacher is there to support him and not make his life miserable, giving him all this homework, you know. And it's worked out really well. The parent is very grateful for that. But the only way that happened was the communication. You know, as a parent, whatever, you know your child, you know what they need. And if something is too much, you've got to say something to the teacher. Is it okay that maybe, you know, my child does this today, but not tomorrow, or something like that? And also, you know, communicate with your child where, you know, yes, there are certain things that they need to do. Like iReady is a big one. That's one that is required. But you know, if you see that your child is frustrated, if they're unmotivated or something, you know, reach out to us to see how we can help get them back on the wagon of you know, participating and following through with what they need to do. We're here to help.
And then the lunches, how do we get that signed up again so I can get it here?
So it's not the lunches, it's actually a box of food that they deliver to your home. The lunches, you still have to go and get them at the sites where they provide them. But this is like a box of food. If you go onto our Facebook, one of the teachers took a picture of all the things that she got in the box. And it was a lot, and I think there's just 2 people in her home. You know,
Well,
so
all I know is just any little things would help us
yeah, absolutely.
tremendously.
So what I can do is I can email you the Vaughn website link where you go, and then you can fill out the information to get it delivered to you. Okay?
All right. That would help me.
Yes. I'll write it actually here on the chat so you can write it down. All right?
Okay.
Yeah, I told another group that we met with this morning about this, that you know, right now is the time. If you need help, you need to reach out and get that help. I'm doing everything I can to possibly put all these resources in one spot for you guys on our website, so you don't have to go from here to there and everywhere. So that's why I really encourage you, if you know parents who weren't able to come to this meeting, you know, let them know what's going on and have them spread the word, because we want to make sure that our Vaughn families are taken care of and that our kids are you know, have all the food that they can possibly get from this program. And the only way that that'll happen is if it travels word of mouth. I've sent out messages. I'll send out another one. But we still need more families to participate if they need it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hi, Teresa. Oh, can you turn on your mic?
Oh, okay. Got it. So you mentioned there was a 5th grade meeting. I didn't hear about that.
For Miss Albright?
Oh, no. Okay. So
Yeah,
Mr.
it wasn't
Boda.
for every 5th grade class. It was for Miss Albright.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Because Miss Roboda is doing that now. She is checking with Derek once a week, and I like that. So
Yeah, you know, and I mean, it's something that you guys know your kids better than we do. You know,
yeah.
you know what their needs are, and you know, we'll help out as much as we can, because we know that it. You know, I remember when it was hard to motivate my kids when we were in school.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
this is a totally different monster, and we have to work together as a team to make sure that they're staying engaged.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, sounds good. I just didn't know if there was a meeting I missed.
Nope, not for
Okay.
Mr. Bobo, no.
Okay.
Any other questions? Does anybody want to add anything?
No, just thank you guys for taking time out of your busy day to learn a little bit more about how we're supporting your kids and how you guys can support at home too.
Well,
It's a
anything
great connection.
with me, anything you guys could add to me is very helpful because I always seem a little bit behind. And so this was all new to me once I woke up from that last seizure I had. I didn't, I mean, it was like I lost a few weeks in time.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was hard for me to hear all this stuff. So any new information you could send me, Minnie, it helps me
Yeah.
tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like, you know, put the Vaughn website on your bookmarks in your computer, on your phone, you know, visit us as much as possible. Like I said, I'm updating at least weekly, if not every other day, because
Okay.
I get new resources. And so I want to make sure that they're in one place for you guys so that you don't have to search everywhere, and make it as easy as possible. Okay.
All right.
Because we've got clothing resources, we've got food resources, we've got, you know, I put rental assistance information on our Facebook. I'm going to put it on our website as well. Electricity, water, all of that is on our website and Facebook. So either one, visit and get that information and that help that you guys need. Okay, because these are crazy times right now. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you guys.